Rise and join me in the council prayer. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please join me now in honoring America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good evening. Would the Madam Secretary please call the roll?
Mayor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Murphy.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Dakota.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Councilor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Mendonça.
Here.
Councilor Mercier.
Here.
9 present, 1
Thank you.
absent.
Chair recognizes Councilor Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did receive a call from City Councilor Edward Bud Caulfield, and he notified me that he's very sorry he can't attend. It's a personal family sickness in the family, and he couldn't be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercier. The chair recognizes Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darker chambers for Mr. William Mark Regan, who was born and raised in Lowell several generations. Leaves his mother, Patricia Holmes Regan, 3 sons, Mark, Seamus, and Bathan Regan, and 3 grandchildren, and he will be deeply missed.
Thank you, Councilor Dakota. And we all rise now in a moment of silence in darkened chambers. Thank you. They rest in peace. First order of business, we have, I believe, 4 sets of minutes to approve. The minutes of the December 6th meeting, Neighborhood Traffic Subcommittee, December 6th, and then the special meetings that were held, the interviews of the city clerk, one November 30th, and one on December 1st for acceptance. Motion to approve by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Any questions? Councilor Mendonça.
Under unfinished business of the minutes of the last meeting, I had a motion that there would be an executive session to discuss compensation, but that didn't happen, right? So I just want to confirm that.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any further questions, comments? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Moving on to unfinished business, vote to accept sections 21, 22, 23 as provided in section 21A of Mass General Laws, chapter 32B as amended. The chair recognizes Manager Lynch.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if I may, if we could postpone action on this item and put this off till our next meeting next Tuesday in order to give our negotiations with the city's collective bargaining groups to continue. We expect to have an answer one way or another if we're able to reach an agreement by next Tuesday, at which time we could take that up or take up the Section 19 adoption that was presented at last week's meeting.
Thank you, Manager Lynch. What's the wish of the council? Motion to delay 1 week by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Elliott. Roll call.
Mayor Milanazzo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça.
Yes.
Councilor Mercier.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent. Next item under unfinished business, in City Council vote appointing Michael Q. Geary to the position of City Clerk and establishing a salary in the City of Lowell. It is voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell to appoint Michael Q. Geary to the position of City Clerk, said appointment to be effective on Monday, December 19, 2011, at which time he will be sworn into office. Mr. Geary's salary shall be established at $80,354.70, which is Step 7 of Schedule A of the Salary Tier System Ordinance for department heads and confidential employees. Mr. Geary's appointment shall be for a 3-year term. There's no objection. Second reading by title. In City Council vote, appointing Michael Q. Geary to the position of City Clerk and establishing a salary in the City of Lowell. What's the wish of the council?
Move approval.
Move approval by Counselor Elliott, second by Counselor Martin. Questions? Counselor Mendonça.
I have nothing against the appointment, but I can't support the salary as presented, so it is the top end of the scale that we had published, and it was essentially what the previous clerk was making with over 20 years of experience, so I just wanted to note that further.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor Mendonça. Counselor Martin?
I just think it's also important to note that during the interview process, it was made clear that the clerk was not going to accept outside fees for marriages that occurred at City Hall and city time. So it's actually maybe less compensation than the prior clerk received.
Correct. Thank you for bringing that up. Counselor Mercia?
I do note the point that Councilor Mendonça is making, and that is a salary that someone worked 30 years to achieve, and I understand that. But the fact remains, as Councilor Bill Martin said, that I wouldn't have supported that higher end of the salary either, but I'm making it perfectly clear that I will, because of the fact that he is not going to take that compensation, which could amount to an additional $7,000 to $10,000 more a year. So I'm going to accept the salary as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Counselor Elliott?
Mayor, we just, what was the advertised pay scale? What was the pay range, excuse me?
It was, I believe it was 69,000 up to this 80,000.
Up to 80, okay. Thank you.
Correct. Thank you. No further questions, roll call.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Murphy?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield? Counselor Dakota?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Counselor Martin?
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça?
No?
Okay, Counselor Mercier?
Yes.
7 yeas.
7 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Geary, and see you on Monday. Thank you.
Don't be late.
I bet Maureen will be happy about that.
Well, we were talking about that earlier, and Maureen has one more subcommittee meeting this Thursday, so.
And you're
But we
doing a
certainly-
great job, Maureen.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yeah,
Thank
she
you
really
very
has
much.
done a wonderful job. In fact, that deserves a round of applause from you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellent job. Moving on to the city manager's portion of the agenda. Communications from city manager, responses to council motions and requests. Anybody have anything they want to be heard on? Council Murphy, excuse me. Council Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was a response to a motion that Councilor Broderick and I had made about the strategic goals process. And so through you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager, I assume that would take place early next year when the new council takes office?
That's correct.
Okay.
We'll be prepared to make a full presentation on this, as well as start to talk about where we go for next year's goals and objectives.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions? Council Martin?
Thank you. It wasn't outlined in the summary of communications, but there is a draft of the city master plan revisions, and there's actually quite a bit of, it's very carefully done. There's a lot of interesting data, and so I'd like to start the process of adopting that new plan. I don't know what the appropriate subcommittee is, but that's probably where it should begin. So I'd be open to others' thoughts about that, but I think we should start to meet on this topic.
On the same topic, Councilor Elliott?
Yeah, I was just going to concur. I actually read these, and I agree. I was just going to ask a question on the public opinion survey report. This is just a draft, pardon me, just a draft form, and then when it's made public in a final form, that's when I know that you had your hand up, Mr. Manager.
I was going to speak to the subcommittee that it might go to.
Oh,
but,
okay.
We have Mr. Baker here, who coordinated the project. His operation handled the division handled the project. Perhaps so specific questions.
Yeah, that's fine. I concur with Council Martin. I think there's a lot of good information, a lot of good data. There were some interesting findings in this public opinion survey as well, so it'd be good to let the public know that.
Thank you. Mr. Bakey?
Thank you. I guess first I'd like to particularly acknowledge Neighborhood Planner Allegra Williams and Associate Planner Aaron Clausen, who really have been the people who've really led this process so far, along with many, many other people in the DPD and in other departments that have participated. The two documents that you have this evening are the public opinion research that has been conducted to basically gauge the community's sentiments around issues that will ultimately be addressed in policy form in the master plan, and an existing conditions report which documents a tremendous amount of hard data about everything from demographics to traffic counts to employment information to utility information in the city that also will be used to inform the actual planning process. These two documents are actually not drafts. These are final documents of what they are, but they are also not the plan. We would certainly appreciate the opportunity to make a more detailed presentation of both of these documents and their findings to, again, the appropriate subcommittee. We agree that would be a fantastic forum for it. And then the next steps in the process from that point going forward will be to take all of the information we've gleaned from the public and from the data collection and begin to craft an actual draft plan, which we also would expect that we would have conversations with the council in the coming year on, as well as extensive conversations with the community on that draft before finalizing it and ultimately coming to a consensus for the community about the new plan. I'd also like to acknowledge that it was really the work of this council that really got this process started. We had promised or suggested back when the last master plan was adopted that it should be updated every 5 years for all kinds of reasons. That was not able to happen quite on that schedule. Perhaps we just didn't tell anyone which 5 years. But we now, thanks to the leadership of this council, I think a motion by Councilor Murphy and others, we've really gotten the impetus to really move ahead with this project, which I think is going to be very important for the community going forward.
Councilor Elliott?
So the city hired Research America Incorporated to do the telephone survey. I'm just curious, how much was that? What was the cost of that?
I honestly don't remember the exact number, but I think it was considerably less than what the city paid back in 2001, 2002 for a similar survey. And what that survey was, this is actually the same firm that had been used by the police department to do some resident sentiment surveying about the police work and crime in the city. They conducted an 800 household telephone survey in 4 different languages to reach basically a demographically representative sample as well as a geographically representative sample of the community on a whole range of questions about what people think are important in a community in general and how people think Lowell is doing on those and other issues, as well as weighing in on a number of issues that are often sort of counterpoints to one another. Both outcomes may be desirable, but doing one often means you can't do the other. So we posed a lot of those trade-off questions to the public, and this actually provided us with some information about when balancing priorities, what does the community feel is important? And again, that's the kind of material that I think would really be great to be able to present in a lot more detail in a subcommittee, maybe more than one meeting.
I agree. I think the questionnaire was very broad and comprehensive. And again, I think there is some very interesting and valuable information here. I was just curious.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Dodson, was this on the same topic?
Yes, actually. I think it's been brought up. I know that in reading it, they were looking for the opportunity to present to us some of the highlights, so I was looking forward to sending it to a subcommittee and having a presentation on what the changes are, what the highlights of potential changes to this plan are going to be. I don't know if the zoning subcommittee is the appropriate place for this.
Zoning or neighborhood? Or we could always do a joint? Probably zoning.
So I'll make a motion to refer this to the zoning subcommittee.
Motion by
I suspect
Councilman
it'll be
Donta.
next year that they'll take it up.
Thank you. Motion by Councilman Donta, second by Councilor Elliott, that the master plan reports, plural, be referred to the zoning subcommittee for a presentation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Anything else while we're on communications? Hearing none, motion to accept the communications placed on file by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Murphy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Next item, we have one out-of-state travel from the Lowell Police Department. Any comments, questions? What's the wish of the council?
Move approval.
Move for approval by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Roll call.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield? Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercia?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. In City Council order, pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell concerning Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Whereas the City of Lowell desires to make temporary rules regulating traffic under actual conditions for a period of 60 days, and whereas Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell, Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, authorizes the City Council to make such temporary rules for a period not to exceed 60 days. Now therefore be it ordered, adjudged, and decreed by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. Effective immediately for a period of 60 days thereafter, the following temporary traffic regulations shall be implemented. Section 266-56, parking prohibited on certain streets at all times is hereby amended by adding the following. Cheryl Lee Lane on both sides, beginning at the northerly curb line of Pawtucket Boulevard, running northerly along Cheryl Lee Lane for a distance of 165 feet. If there's no objection, second reading by title. In City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell concerning Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Councilman Mendonça?
Move approval.
Move approval by Councilman Mendonça, seconded by Councilor Martin. Questions, Councilor Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was in response to a motion I had filed back in October, and just wanted to thank the traffic engineer and DPD staff. They followed through with the residents, and it wasn't exactly what was initially requested, but it looks like it's a better solution after consultation with the neighbors on the street, so appreciate the effort.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick? Yes. Councilor Caulfield? Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercia?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
8 yeas, 1 absent. Next item, in City Council vote, authorizing the city manager to accept an easement from Lowell Mammoth Development LLC to the City of Lowell regarding the installation of a drainage system and/or utilities in accordance with the proposed drainage easement B, consisting of approximately 5,033 square feet and shown on plan attached hereto. Be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows, that the city manager be and hereby is authorized to accept an easement from Lowell Mammoth Development LLC to the City of Lowell for installation of a drainage system and/or utilities. Said easement shall be in the form or substantially the form attached hereto. No objection, second reading by title. In City Council vote, authorizing the city manager to accept an easement from Lowell Mammoth Development LLC to the City of Lowell regarding the installation of a drainage system and/or utilities in accordance with proposed drainage easement B, consisting of approximately 5,033 square feet and shown on plan attached hereto. What's the wish of the council?
Move approval.
Move approval by Councilor Martin, second by Councilor Broderick. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield? Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercia?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
8 yeas, 1 absent. Next item in City Council vote, authorizing the city manager to execute an easement between the City of Lowell to Lowell Mammoth Development LLC for drainage system and/or utilities related to and part of the proposed Walgreens construction. Whereas Lowell Mammoth Development LLC will install drainage system and/or utilities and will be responsible for maintenance and costs related thereto. Whereas said easement and related plan has been reviewed and approved by the city engineers, be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows, that the city manager be and hereby is authorized to execute an easement between the City of Lowell to Lowell Mammoth Development LLC for drainage system and/or utilities related to and part of the proposed Walgreens construction. Said easement shall be in the form or substantially the form attached hereto. Be it further voted that any cost of recording the easement and related plan shall be at the grantor's expense. Second reading by title, and we do have someone registered to speak. In City Council vote, authorizing the city manager to execute an easement between the City of Lowell to Lowell Mammoth Development LLC for drainage system and/or utilities related to and made part of the proposed Walgreens construction. Mark is registered. Mark Goldman is registered to speak. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Lowell City Council, Mr. Manager, staff, ladies and gentlemen. For the record, my name is Mark Goldman, 58 Oakland Street, Lowell, Mass. I urge that the City Council unanimously approve this. It's a good project for the City of Lowell, and it will increase the tax base for the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Goldman. What's the wish of the council? Move approval by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Roll call.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield? Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercier?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1
8 yeas, 1 absent. Next item, in City Council vote, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept a gift of $200 from the Lowell Plan Incorporated to be used for costs and expenses associated with the mayor's holiday reception. Whereas Lowell Plan Incorporated wishes to donate a gift of $200 to be used toward the mayor's holiday reception, and whereas the City of Lowell desires to accept the gift of said $200 to be used toward said holiday reception, now therefore be it voted that the city manager be and hereby authorized in the name of the City of Lowell to accept a gift of $200 to be used for the costs and expenses associated with the mayor's holiday reception pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A. Be it further voted that we, the members of the City Council of the City of Lowell, jointly and severally do hereby commend and officially extend the gratitude of the City of Lowell to the Lowell Plan Incorporated for their generosity displayed through their donation of the aforesaid funds to the City of Lowell. Second reading by title. In City Council vote, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept a gift of $200 from the Lowell Plan Incorporated to be used for costs and expenses associated with the mayor's holiday reception. What's the wish of the council? Move approval by Councilor Dakota, seconded by Councilor Murphy. Any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
And incidentally, Mr. Mayor, the mayor's reception is tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
From 5 to 7 in the mayor's reception room, and the
yes, thank
public
you.
is invited.
That's correct.
All right, I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield? Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercier?
Yes.
Thank you. The next two items will be read, given the first reading, and then referred to a public hearing on January 10th, 2012. In City Council ordinance, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell with respect to Chapter 150 thereof entitled Fees, whereas it is the desire of the City of Lowell to amend certain sections of the fees ordinance, in particular under the miscellaneous permits, penalties, and fines, line 117, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. The code for the City of Lowell, hereinafter called the Code, adopted by the City Council on December 23, 2008, is hereby further amended with respect to Chapter 150 thereof entitled Fees by amending miscellaneous permits, penalties, and fines, in particular line 117, by deleting line 117 residential parking permit in its entirety and inserting the following in its place. Section 117, reserved dwelling parking spaces, sign, frequency is each $20, sticker or decal for one vehicle, first year is included, sticker or decal for one vehicle, frequency is annually, $10 fee, each additional sticker or decal, frequency annually is a $2 cost. It is intended that this ordinance is divisible, and if any enumerated section of this ordinance is to add or to amend the code is stricken from this ordinance, then the code as it read prior to this ordinance shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall take effect immediately upon its passage in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 43 and Chapter 44 of Massachusetts General Law, approved as to form Christine P. O'Connor, City Solicitor. Referred to a public hearing by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Mendonça for January 10th, 2012. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. I believe it's public hearing time. It's now 7 p.m. We have one public hearing this evening. Public hearing in City Council vote authorizing the city manager to execute a settlement agreement by and between the city, L&J Property Management LLC, and Kazanjian Enterprises related to a proposed sewer connection located at 190 Middlesex Street, Chelmsford, Mass. The public hearing is now open for those wishing to speak in favor. Mr. Attorney Nyman. I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, did you want to be heard before the public hearing?
Just to very briefly, Mr. Mayor, just for the record, this is Attorney Nyman is here on behalf of the petitioner to resolve this matter that has been an issue that we've been working through over the last number of months, and the administration is pleased to get this agreement in place and is asking for the City Council to approve it so that we can put this matter behind us and move on with the necessary implementation of the agreement that's been put in place. So.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. The public hearing is now open for those wishing to speak in favor.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, members of the council, my name's Philip Nyman and I'm an attorney in Lowell. My clients are Joseph and Linda De Silva. They're here. I'd like to just have them stand up so you'll know that there were real people who were involved in this. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Basically, Mr. De Silva emigrated here from Portugal, and when he went to work for a cable maintenance subcontractor. He did very well. He was able to acquire the cable maintenance subcontractor, and ultimately this grew into what was known as J&L Cable. The company is the only Comcast subcontractor in northeastern Mass and in New Hampshire. It now handles service and installation for businesses as well as homes. It installs and services 80% of all Comcast business in Lowell. The company employs 150 people, most of whom are from the greater Lowell area, and 25%, or approximately 50, reside in Lowell, Massachusetts itself. They themselves are residents of Dracut, but they own property in Lowell. They are active in the Lowell community. They're active in the Central Street Portuguese Church community. They are members and supporters of the Lowell Boys and Girls Club, the Lowell Police Benevolent Association, and they give a lot of money and a lot of service to many local charities. They're here today requesting the privilege of tying in their property, which is located on the Chelmsford-Lowell line, into the Lowell sewer system. They've entered into an agreement with the city of Lowell in connection with this. They have been tied in since 2009. If you go by there, you'll see their building. It's a beautiful building. They maintain it very well. It's modern. It's very up to date. They have, I guess, the latest called a gravity-fed sewer system. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm told it's very, very good. And for the privilege of tying in, they are prepared to pay the city of Lowell $15,000. In addition, they're prepared to pay the city of Lowell a tie-in fee of approximately $3,500. There is outstanding sewer because of the question as to whom the sewer would be paid for approximately another $2,500 to $3,000. And in addition, I told you there's a $3,500 regular tie-in fee, and they will be paying approximately close to $2,000 a year in annual sewer charges. They're prepared to pay this. They are good citizens. They employ local people. This is going to be nothing more than a financial benefit to the city of Lowell. They'll be responsible for maintaining the system. If you went out there and saw the building, it's gorgeous, it's well-maintained, and quite frankly, you could stand on their property and throw a stone and be in Lowell. It's that close. They weren't tied in 2009 because of some engineering problems and because of some issues and misunderstandings and lack of interpretation or proper interpretation of the code. That's all been done. From what I understand, all the technical parts of the plan are in force. There's been no problem with respect to plans. There's been no problem with respect to the location or anything to that effect. We made an application to the city engineer. The city engineer turned this down and said that we should go before the city council under section 272, section 30 of the Lowell City Code. This is not something that hasn't been done on numerous occasions before. It is going to be a benefit for the city. It's going to be a benefit for the 40 or 50 persons from Lowell who have a regular job. And so I ask you if you could please vote this to approve the sewer tie-in and authorize the manager to execute the agreement. I have no further comments. Are there any questions from the council?
We'll actually continue the public hearing, and then if anybody has any questions, we'll take them up at the end of the public hearing. Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Attorney Nyman. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Wishing to speak in favor? That portion of the public, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Goldman.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Manager, staff, my name is Mark Oman, 58 Oakland Street, Lowell, Mass. This is definitely a win-win situation for the city and for the residents of Lowell. It does employ people that live here in Lowell, and it is a good proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goldman. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is closed. Those wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? The public hearing is now closed. What's the wish of the council? Councilor Mercier?
Move approval.
Move approval by Councilor Mercier, second by Councilor Elliott. Any questions for Attorney Nyman? Councilman Mendoza? No. Councilman Mendoza, question?
To the manager, is there some other matter we need to take up before or after regarding the appeal? How's that?
I believe this
This
is
is it as well?
This is it in a package, yes, yeah.
Okay,
The
'cause
agreement
I-
is actually attached to the vote.
All right, so we're doing all this at once, and although I want to settle this, and the people that are asking for this now had nothing to do with the original problem, I still personally have a problem with the way this was done, and I believe the determination of the city engineer was correct, and still is. So if this is settled, it's fine with me. But I still have objection to that appeal process. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Mercier?
Yes, I'd like to speak up a little bit here, too. And I've been a city councilor for 16 years, and I have never, in 16 years, seen anybody get denied tying in, whether they came from Tingsboro, Tewksbury, Draycott, Chelmsford. So I take great exception with what happened. I'm very sorry it took all this time, but Mr. Manager, I want to commend you for finally putting this behind us, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Martin?
As I understand it, this is the standard process, right, that could have been handled. Usually, someone applies, if you're not in Lowell, you get denied, and then you appeal here. And it has happened many times before where we do allow the tie-in, but the denial is almost an administrative requirement to come here and get the hearing.
That's
Did
correct.
I understand that correctly?
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Any more comments, questions? Roll call.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield? Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza?
No?
Councilor Mercier?
Yes.
7 yeas.
7 yeas,
One
1
no.
nay, and 1 absent. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Nyman.
Thank you all very much. I wish you all a very happy holiday, and to my University of Pennsylvania colleague, I wish Mr. Moses a special happy holiday.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Moving on to the agenda, the next item also gets referred to a public hearing. After we give the first reading, public hearing is January 10th, 2012. In City Council, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell with respect to restricting parking in front of any dwelling house, whereas the City Council, through its study and experience, has concluded that parking by residents in front of their dwelling house is difficult, if not impossible, in most areas of the City of Lowell. And whereas this ordinance is intended to alleviate that situation, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. The Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell, hereinafter called the Code, adopted by the City Council on December 23, 2008, as amended, is hereby further amended with respect to Chapter 266, Article 6 thereof, entitled Parking Permit Areas, as follows. 1. Delete Section 266-85, Reserved Dwelling Parking Space, in its entirety, and insert the following. Section 266-85, Reserved Dwelling Parking Spaces. Is it the wish of the council for me to read the entire ordinance, or can we waive the full reading?
Motion to waive the full reading.
Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Martin. All those in favor of waiving the full reading signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Motion to refer to a public hearing on January 10th, 2012 by Councilor Martin, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Again, I believe this discussion came out of the neighborhood subcommittee. So before we take a vote, does anybody want to?
I just, I'm not sure, I don't object to it going to a public hearing. And I know the subcommittee worked diligently on this issue, but I want to be careful that, in the dead of winter, we're not going to adopt something, where the cure is more harmful than the disease. This is going to be a radical change for a lot of people. We're going to have annual registration of residential parking placards, and I think, there's going to need to be a public education component that goes with this, and so we may need to, even if we adopt this on January 10th, delay implementation for a period of time. So I want to proceed cautiously on this. And so I just wanted to make that known, and so it wouldn't be a surprise that come the public hearing in January.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Murphy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just reading through this, part of it does say effective July 1st, so,
right.
So there is a built-in time period.
Right. That's right. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so Councilman Mendoza.
Well, to Council Martin's point, there is a major change in who gets to use the parking space. Right now, you register for a placard, and basically, anyone can park there if the person who has the permit doesn't call to complain. Any visitor of theirs could use the space. But now, with new language, they're going to be required to have a vehicle registered to that address. And that's the one that the decal will go on. So that's going to be a very significant change other than the annual renewal. So, but that's something that it could be good, could be bad, depending on who's interpreting it.
Thank you. All those in favor of sending the ordinance to a public hearing January 10, 2012, signify by saying aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Thank you. Next item. We actually will have a presentation on this regional strategic plan by the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments. Let me just read the vote. In City Council vote to endorse Northern Middlesex Council of Governments NIMCOG Regional Strategic Plan, whereas the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments is submitting the executive summary and Lowell maps, priority development sites, priority preservation sites, and priority housing sites for the Regional Strategic Plan, known as the RSP, for the City of Lowell to review and support, and whereas the RSP was funded by the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development, and whereas the plan will be used by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a guide for future state investments in local and regional projects, now therefore be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. The proposed Northern Middlesex Council of Governments Regional Strategic Plan is hereby formally endorsed. Second reading by title and City Council vote to endorse Northern Middlesex Council of Governments Regional Strategic Plan. We do have representatives from Newcog here this evening, Beverly Woods, their executive director, and Mr. Jay Donovan is here as well, and I know Mark Goldman is also registered to speak. So we'll start with Beverly Woods. Good evening, thank you for being here.
Good evening. Thank you for giving us some time on your agenda this evening. As the mayor has just explained, we did receive some funding from the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development to develop a regional strategic plan, and this work is being done by regional planning agencies all over the state. We've been working on this plan for about a year now. And the purpose of the plan is really to provide some guidance to our local communities and to us as a region in terms of how we want to develop the region going forward. And we specifically are focusing on offering recommendations that identify areas across our region that are suitable for future economic development, for the future development of housing that's both affordable and market rate housing, and also areas that should be priorities for communities in terms of preserving for the future. I'm not going to read all of these slides to you. We will have this on our website, and I will give the manager's office a copy of the PowerPoint presentation so that you can look at it at your leisure. And I've agreed to be very brief this evening. One of the benefits of this plan is it allowed us to look at all of the master plans and housing plans and open space plans across our region, and to put them together on a regional level to see where there were certain interactions at municipal boundaries, and to look at things in a way that communities themselves don't typically look at them. We had a very inclusive public process. We've had 2 public visioning sessions. One was here in Lowell at the UMass Inn and Conference Center. Another was held in Tewksbury at their public safety building. We had pretty good turnout at both of those events. We also had something set up on our website where people who were interested in the plan could submit their comments via the website, and we have been meeting with municipal staff and local officials over the past year to get their input as well. There are a number of goals in the plan. You have the executive summary that was provided to you. I'm not going to go through all of them, but primarily the plan really focuses on trying to use the land that we have and the resources that we have as efficiently as possible, and directing future development to areas that have the infrastructure and the services available to accommodate it. The plan is very focused on sustainability, and actually will be very complementary to the master plan that you're developing, which is being developed as a sustainability plan. We looked at providing housing opportunities for our residents across the region and building on the economic strengths for each of our communities. And also looked at tying together our workforce structure here and trying to create higher skilled jobs, higher wage jobs, and address our unemployment situation. We looked at preserving the agricultural lands that remain in our region. We don't have a lot of agricultural land. We've lost a significant amount of agricultural land over the last few decades. And we also focused on protecting our natural resources and promoting the use of renewable energy. There's a lot of information in the plan that describes the various land use planning tools that are available to communities to help them achieve sustainable development objectives. And in Lowell, you've been very proactive in that regard. You have a very professional, very well-run planning department, and we really thank Adam Bakey and his staff for helping us as we develop the plan. You've put in place things like form-based code for the Hamilton Canal District. You do have traditional neighborhood development in Lowell, and you have transit-oriented development, and you've been really at the forefront of that initiative. We have mapped existing open space in all of our communities, and we've looked at habitat areas that should be protected, water resource areas, and historical resources. And we've identified priority areas for preservation in each of our communities. And this is very difficult to see, I know, on this slide, but in Lowell, the areas that were identified were primarily along the city's water bodies. You are a very developed city, but there is some opportunities to increase access to the rivers and to the canal system, and that's primarily what we're focused on in our plan. We have identified tools for local communities for helping preserve the environmental resources that they have, and those are outlined there. Again, the city has been very proactive in preserving what's available to them. It talks a lot about green energy. In our region, solar energy is the most common form of renewable energy that's in use. We do have several locations in the region that have some potential for solar going forward in terms of capped landfills and large commercial industrial buildings that have large roof space that could be used for solar. And again, the city has been very proactive in that regard. You have your green building initiatives here that are being implemented, and you're really working very well in that area. Due to the geography of our region, the type of topography that we have here, there aren't many sites that are conducive, at least to commercial scale wind energy. The plan provides you with a lot of information about various programs and tools and incentives that the state offers to promote renewable energy. And a lot of that is being run through the Mass Clean Energy Center, and there are some references in the plan that can provide you with access to additional information on those particular programs. We have identified areas that are priority areas for future economic development, and those have been pretty much focused on economic opportunity areas under the state's EDIP program. Again, Lowell has many sites in the city that are designated as economic opportunity areas, and priority development sites that have been identified under 43D. There are 2 in Lowell, and additional sites that municipal staff have identified for us, so that were identified through the public involvement process. And this slide here lists all of the economic opportunity areas and certified projects in Lowell. As you can see, there are many of them. And again, you have 2 priority development sites, the Hamilton Canal District and 38 Prince Street, which is the former Prince plant. And there are many other additional areas that are urban renewal districts, the Acre, for example, the Jam area. And right now, the city is working on their Tanner Street initiative, which is looking at basically a redevelopment plan for that area. This map shows you all of the areas in the city that have been identified as appropriate sites for future economic development. And then we've identified a number of tools that communities can use. And again, Lowell has a very good planning department. You're using many of these tools. You really have been a leader in brownfields redevelopment, for example. You have been participated in the state's growth district initiative, and you've taken advantage of a lot of the tax credit programs, et cetera, that are offered by the state. Well, we've identified priority housing areas, and as I mentioned before, we're focused on all housing, not just affordable housing, but market rate housing. And the city really has a policy where they'd like to restrict their affordable housing in downtown to projects where affordable housing helps facilitate a larger project that includes market rate housing. Primarily, the sites in Lowell are the Julian Steel, which is now River's Edge project, the Urban Renewal District, the area around Gallagher Terminal, and some of the downtown smart growth overlay districts. And again, those are mapped on this map, which I know is difficult to see, but you were given a copy of the map. And we've identified housing production tools. The city of Lowell has a Chapter 40R district, and this is work that you're doing anyway in your city. But in our suburban communities, they haven't been quite so quick to adopt these things, so we're trying to give them some assistance in that regard. There are a number of key recommendations in the plan. As I said, a lot of them are focused on encouraging growth in areas that have adequate infrastructure and where services are readily available. There's a lot of discussion about coordinating development across municipal boundaries, so we're looking at things more on a regional scale, and coordinating planning initiatives that are underway at the municipal level, the state level, and in some cases at the federal level. We've looked at regionally connecting open space. A lot of communities plan for their open space at the municipal level, but they never really look at how it interconnects with their neighboring communities. And we've recommended that we focus our preservation efforts on areas that are water recharge areas and on preserving agricultural lands. We're looking at promoting the creative economy as a way to grow the economy on a regional basis. Lowell has a very good program focusing on its creative economy, but I think we could improve upon that regionally if there were regional collaboration in that regard. And we're also looking at preparing a regional housing plan. Right now, there is no regional housing plan or statewide housing plan, but we see that as a need, and we'll be doing that work over the next year. We were asked to review the plan that we created for sustainable development principles to make sure that it conformed with the state's sustainable development principles, which it does. And we were also asked to sort of benchmark where each community now stands relative to a proposed land use reform bill called Land Use Reform Partnership Act. And that information is contained in the plan. Once the plan is endorsed, over the next several years, we'll be tracking the progress and implementing some of the measures that are outlined in the plan. There are a number of performance measurements that we've identified, and you can see there what those are. We tried to choose things for which we knew we could easily get data, and that we would have access to the data over a number of years so that we would be able to accurately chart the progress. We're here this evening because as part of the condition of receiving funding, we need to ask our chief elected officials in each community to endorse the plan and to provide a letter of endorsement. Once we receive endorsements from each of our communities, we will then, NIMCOG's board will then adopt the plan and it will be officially submitted in final form to the state. So that concludes my presentation, and I thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, Beverly, very much, and thank you for the good work the Regional Planning Agency does. Thank you. Anybody have any questions before I recognize Mr. Goldman, who would like to speak on the plan? You were registered, Mr. Goldman?
For the record, Mark Goldman, 58 Oakland Street, Lowell, Mass. This is an excellent plan. It will complement a lot of the master plans in the towns, and particularly in the city of Lowell. I urge that the Lowell City Council unanimously approve this regional strategic plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anybody have any? Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank Ms. Woods for coming here. I don't ever remember anyone from NEMCOG coming to the council, although perhaps it happened and I just don't remember. But certainly appreciate keeping the council informed of their activity. The question I had about this, and I know it's only an executive summary, so it may be buried in the detail of the plan, but we talk a lot about economic development and capitalizing on the recent improvements to Route 3, for example, which maybe aren't all that recent anymore. But it seems the pressing need, to alleviate traffic congestion in this city is more capacity across the river. And with the completion or the near completion of the Quinn Holmes Bridge at Hunts Falls, we've seen how that is eased up. Hopefully, when the new bridge at University Avenue is complete, we'll see even more improvement. But if this is going to be, a 10 or 20 year plan, we need to start now planning for more capacity over the river. I mean, a lot of the traffic that comes in Lowell in rush hour is cut through traffic, but we need to deal with it. And if it's a regional problem, I think this agency may be well positioned to help us with that. Not sure, we need a bridge necessarily in Lowell even, but I think, there needs to be, and there's a lot in here about alternative transportation, and we support all that, and we're trying to capitalize on that in this city. But as long as the surrounding communities, suburbia, really don't have mass transit available, people are going to rely on their cars, and they're not going to need to cross the river. So this is a good piece of work, and I think a welcome dialogue that has been opened here. So not trying to be critical at all, but I want to point out what I think is a major need in this region, and I'm sure the planning agency is aware of that, but I thought it was worth noting.
Thank you, Councilor Martin. Councilor Mendonça?
I'd have to concur with Councilor Martin's comments. When I first saw this, I looked through it looking for something about the Rourke Bridge and the Wood Street corridor, and I know that NIMCOG has done some work on that recently, so I know that they are working on it, but then I realized that this was a more general plan than that, not that specific. But I certainly agree that in the city itself, that's one of our key areas that we need improvement on, is the traffic congestion and trying to improve the capacity across the river. And specifically, it really gets backed up on Wood Street because the bridge is just too narrow. and emergency vehicles just can't count on getting across there in the morning rush hour or the afternoon rush hour. So I think going forward, it does need to be a focus to see what we can do to solve that problem in any way possible.
Thank you. Mr. Manager?
Just if I may, Mr. I obviously need to concur with both Councilors Martin and Mendonça on this. The bridge is a major issue. All of our bridges are a major issue here in the city, and that one, which was built back in 1985 as a temporary bridge, clearly is something needs to be done at that location. But I know that, as both councilors pointed out, NIMCOG has been doing some work along the Wood Street corridor, and it might be useful to briefly explain what that project's all about and where that stands.
Sure. Actually, tomorrow evening at our council meeting, I'll be asking our council to approve contracting with an engineering firm to begin a rather large study of river crossing issues in Lowell. We have about $500,000 in high priority project funds that were actually put into some legislation by Marty Meehan when he was a congressman, and released over the life of the last transportation bill, and it took actually 5 years to be able to access all of the funding. So we've put out an RFP, we've gone through the consultant selection process. I do have a recommendation from my board tomorrow evening that I'll ask them to act on. Assuming that that is approved, we will have a consultant under contract by the first of the year to begin that study. We estimate the study will take probably 12 to 14 months to complete. And it will be a very large study. There's actually a committee that's being put together with representatives from 4 communities, Lowell, Chelmsford, Dracut, and Tingsboro, to really take a fresh look at the river crossing issue. Some of the alternative river crossings that were proposed 20 years ago may or may not be viable still. There's been a lot of changes in land use and development over that time period, so we're really stepping back and starting anew.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I don't know a whole lot about the history of the Rourke Bridge, but I think part of the reason it was only authorized as a temporary bridge was because a lot of this study work and environmental work that needs to be done to put a more permanent structure in place had not been done. So I think this is encouraging to know that that this type of planning is underway.
Thank you. Council Elliott and Council Murphy.
This might be a little bit off track, but is there still another bridge in the proposal or development stage in the Tingsboro area? Or has that been put on hold?
There was a feasibility study that was completed. The next step in the process is actually to do the environmental work. There was some money put in an open space bond bill at one point in time to fund that. I think the town has sort of held off advocating for that until the existing Tingsboro Bridge projects and the Pawtucket Boulevard relocation projects are completed. But I have heard recently that they're trying to sort of reinvigorate that effort, and I know that Representative Colleen Gary is also recently quoted in the press as saying she was trying to move that project forward. So it still is, at least in the concept stages, of a viable project.
Okay, so, but there's no hard funding in place for that?
Correct. There's no construction funding in place, and I don't even know that the bond bill authorization that occurred probably 10 years ago at this point is adequate, or if they'll need to sort of reinitiate that again as well.
Okay. While I have the mic, Mr. Mayor, just one other question. I did read, I guess it's chapter 5, and there seems to be a significant amount of emphasis on green communities and green energy initiatives, and I think that's a very good thing. I couldn't help but noting section C, where their northern Middlesex region is certainly citing that renewable energy initiatives in the northern Middlesex region is a focus. And there's you do highlight there are 2 solar farms, one in Westford that is well underway, as well as a second solar farm, and additional solar. We have some here in the city. When you speak of potential additional solar projects, including capped landfill, large commercial, industrial, and institutional buildings with flat. Have those been identified, not so much the landfill, but the other industrial?
I'm going to let the manager speak to this because Lowell actually has a pretty active program right now.
Oh, okay.
Right, and Council, I think I knew where you were going with that. the old Lowell landfill is one of the priority areas for a solar farm. And as you know, we've been involved in some discussions with the entity which has some rights to the landfill for methane and our own solar initiatives. And we're very close to resolving that, and we're hoping that that will move forward in the next calendar year 2012.
Great. And industrial, have you identified, or the city identified, other industrial buildings, or is that just as well as other institutional buildings?
Actually, Mr. Bakey, I think, has some.
I mean, it's a good thing. I'm just, I'd just like to know.
It's actually not so much that we've identified specific buildings, but it's important to note, and most people may not realize, that there are already over 3,000 solar panels just in downtown Lowell in the historic district. One of the effects of the historic regulation to make sure that you can't see, is to make sure you can't see any of them, so nobody knows they're there. But indeed, many property owners in Lowell have been already taking advantage, and we certainly encourage property owners throughout the city to take advantage of opportunities for solar energy, and even before that, opportunities for energy efficiency. And we've established some loan funds that are available through the LDFC to actually help facilitate some of that energy efficiency work throughout the city.
And how can people watching this, or businesses, how can they access or find out about what programs are available? Directly to LDFC or your office?
I think probably the best thing to do is to have them contact the DPD, and we can work with them to identify resources that might be available for them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Elliott. Councilor Murphy, who, by the way, is our representative on the NIMCOG board. Thank you for your
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't think there'll be any secret about how I'll vote tomorrow night on the Wood Street study. But I did want to point out about the plan. Really, in large part, it's focused on identifying areas not just for preservation but for growth, and how that will be used by the state. Is Secretary Bielecki of the Patrick administration has spoken to how that will be used, really directly linking our plan, our regional plan, as well as our updated master plan, to being able to get funding through the state to support the infrastructure projects like bridges that would then in turn, of course, support those areas that are identified for growth. So it is a very thorough plan, and as I say, important, and perhaps Beverly could speak better than I to this, important for how the state is really funding a number of the infrastructure projects throughout our region. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Beverly?
There are a number of funding programs that will prioritize projects based on whether or not the project benefits a development area, for example, that's identified in the regional plan. And recently there was a round of MassWorks funding. It's a new funding program that the state initiated this year. Lowell did receive some funding for River's Edge. And we were actually sent the applications by the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development and asked to identify whether or not the applications that were submitted were within these priority areas. So they're certainly paying attention to that. Secretary Bielecki was the speaker at our annual meeting and basically stated at the annual meeting that they will be applying the regional plan to their future investment decisions.
Great. Terrific. Thank you. Any other questions? I would need a motion to approve the endorse the strategic plan by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Roll call.
Okay, that would be Mayor Milanazzo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça.
Yes.
Councilor Mercier.
Yes.
8 yeas.
8 yeas, 1 absent. Thank you. Thank you, Beverly. Thank you, Jay, for being here. Thank you. Nice job. Continuing on with the agenda, we have a vote in City Council order. A supplemental appropriation to be appropriated to the police overtime account of the City of Lowell for fiscal year 2012. Ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: that the amount of $100,000 be hereby appropriated to the police overtime account 02104151-51300. Order recommended and introduced by Bernard F. Lynch, City Manager. Second reading by title in City Council order, a supplemental appropriation to be appropriated to the police overtime account of the City of Lowell for fiscal year 2012. What's the wish of the council? Move approval by Council Broderick, seconded by Council Martin. Any questions? Council Mendonça?
I assume this, along with the next vote, is coming from additional local aid we received when the state restored that amount.
Primarily, and there was a difference of about $60,000, which we identified some money within the snow and ice deficit that we were able to pull back. We did a little bit better on that, and that's what makes up
So even with both of these, we're still contributing or keeping $1 million to reduce the tax levy.
$1 million at the tax levy. We're $1 million below what the 2.5% that we had put in the budget. Then this $500,000 for the snow and ice gets us a jump on the snow and ice budget for this year, and the $100,000 matches what we put in last year for police overtime.
Okay, thank you.
Any other, Council Broderick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, you just mentioned we did $100,000 last year towards overtime. Could we get some type of report as to how it was used and any results? I don't know what through the city staff program, through the chief or whomever, and what the intent is again for this year for this $100,000. And thank you, by the way, for doing this.
Thank you. Councilor Rita Mercier, did you? Oh, I'm sorry. Any other questions? Councilor Elliott.
This is not related to this, but while we're on the subject of the city finances, what impact will the release or reimbursement from the state treasurer on school funds? There was an article in the newspaper that Treasurer Grossman is going to release state funds to schools earlier. Pretty sure I read it it might have just been
probably just
today.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I would think if they're releasing the Chapter 70 money a little bit faster,
No.
I'm not aware of.
It's school building funds. They're dispersing the money early. It's like $10 million that were supposed to be paid in July. They're
We're
just
getting it now.
paying it a few months earlier.
So I'm just curious if it'll have any impact on any borrowing that we may have. No.
If I understand right, I haven't seen the article, but this may be the reimbursement for the older projects that are scheduled. That's already in our budget, so it really, as long as it comes in during the fiscal year, it really doesn't matter when it comes in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield? Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercier?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
8 yeas, 1 absent. Next item, vote in City Council order, supplemental appropriation to be appropriated to the purchase of services in the snow and ice account of the City of Lowell for fiscal year 2012. Ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: the amount of $500,000 be hereby appropriated to the purchase of services in the snow and ice account 04008-753-529-600. Order recommended, introduced by Bernard F. Flint, City Manager. Second reading by title in City Council order, a supplemental appropriation to be appropriated to the purchase of services in the snow and ice account of the City of Lowell for fiscal year 2012. What's the wish, Councilor Mendonça? Move approval by Councilor Mendonça, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Any questions? Councilor Martin? Roll call.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield? Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercier?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
8 yeas, 1 absent. Next item, in City Council vote, authorizing the city manager to approve amending the tax increment financing agreement and plan by replacing Sheila Real Estate Investment LLC with Sheila Real Estate Ventures LLC. Whereas the city previously approved the tax increment financing agreement and plan for Sheila Real Estate Investments LLC, and whereas Sheila Real Estate Investments LLC has changed the name of the entity created to own the property to Sheila Real Estate Ventures LLC, And whereas it is the intention of this vote to correct and/or amend the named owner of the property located at 1075 Westford Street, Lowell, and whereas Sheila Real Estate Ventures LLC shall adhere to the same obligations and receive the same rights under this program, now therefore be it voted that the City Council of the City of Lowell authorizes the city manager to approve amending the tax increment financing agreement and plan by replacing Sheila Real Estate Investment LLC with Sheila Real Estate Ventures LLC. There's no objection. Second reading by title. And City Council vote authorizing the city manager to approve amending the tax increment finance agreement and plan by replacing Sheila Real Estate Investment LLC with Sheila Real Estate Ventures LLC. Just a name change. Move approval by Councilman Mendonça, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Any questions? Roll call.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield? Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercier?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Next item is an ordinance that will be referred to a public hearing on January 10th, 2012. In City Council ordinance, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances for the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, the code with respect to Chapter 150 thereof entitled Fees. Whereas it is the desire of the City of Lowell to amend certain sections of the fees ordinance, in particular under the Police Department line item entitled Services, by inserting a fee to cover parking in snow emergencies. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. The code for the City of Lowell, hereinafter called the code adopted by the City Council on December 23, 2008, is hereby further amended with respect to Chapter 150 thereof entitled Fees by amending services under the Police Department line item by inserting the following. Under Department, number 1, services, snow removal, tow during as a result of snow emergency. Frequency is for each time, and the fee is $90. It is intended that this ordinance is divisible, and if any enumerated section of this ordinance to add or to amend the code is stricken from this ordinance, then the code, as it read prior to this ordinance, shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall take effect immediately upon its passage in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 43 and Chapter 44 of Massachusetts General Laws, approved as to form. Christine P. O'Connor, City Solicitor. Motion to refer this to a public hearing on January 10th by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Mercier. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It's a vote. That concludes the city manager's portion of the agenda. Moving on to subcommittee reports. Are there any subcommittee reports this evening? I know we have a subcommittee this Thursday, the ad hoc subcommittee on the city clerk is meeting Thursday, the 15th. Moving on to general petitions, we have one claim. Claim is for property damage. Referred to the law department by Councilor Mercier, seconded by Councilor Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Last item on the agenda under motions. We have one motion this evening. Motion by Councilor Broderick, requests the manager meet with all potential participants to achieve successful implementation citywide of the Darkness to Light Child Abuse Prevention Program. Seconded by Councilor Murphy. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a program, for the purposes of full disclosure, I'm a member of the Board of Directors for the YMCA, and it's a program that they have started to try to promote and get on board with, and it was, I think, a number of the local folks have been introduced to it, and I saw a short video on it and wanted to bring it forward. It's something, I believe the town of Chelmsford is trying to implement this program here, and essentially what it is it's more involved than I can probably relate here, but it's a prevention and response program for adults to help prevent child abuse. 1 in 4 female girls and 1 out of 6 boys are sexually abused by the age of 18, a staggering statistic. And what this program is about is a 2.5-hour to 3-hour training program, and the purpose of it is to make people aware and help train folks in the community. And by successful here, what the program is, the goal is to train 5% of the adult population in a community, say in Lowell. In Lowell, that would mean about 3,900 individuals, which is a large task, as we all know. 3,900 is a large number. And trying to get this done, it would make sense to get the city involved. and bring in the usual partners. You know, my understanding is that the teachers can get credit for the continuing education credits for taking the training. There's also the need for facilitators, which would be the people, the folks that actually do the trainings. Trainings would be limited to 15 or 20 people per session, so you can see the number of trainings that would be required. It would probably take, you know, a process of 2 or 3 years to get this done, but it would be a tremendous opportunity to, as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. I think the community, the sense of community of everybody in the community watching out for each other's children would be tremendous. And the 5%, as they call it, tipping point, it then starts to permeate into the rest of the community and the population. So I just saw it as a tremendous opportunity. The program itself, the materials are $10 a packet. There's a grant already in place, you know, that you pay for one and get one free. I already had someone approach me that would be willing to come forward and help sponsor. In Lowell, we would have a different issue, I think, than some of the towns like Chelmsford, is that we probably have to get translations done. We would also need facilitators that speak, you know, Portuguese, Khmer, in the different languages that we have here. But we've got great resources, UMass Lowell, Middlesex. We could tap into our student population, and if we get our teachers on board, you know, and one of the obvious areas that we want to educate folks is, you know, the people that deal with children. You know, teachers, bus drivers, youth organizations. If there's a way we can tie this program, I don't know if we can make it mandatory, you know, to permits and contracts that we do going forward to get this out there. It's a very inexpensive way, I think, that, but effective way to protect our children. And I think, you know, this leads to, as Council Mercy had a motion on last week about drug abuse. You think of what happens in the just tremendously devastating effect this has on children that then become adults, and how it just becomes a generational issue. And it's a terrible thing that I think a program like this, we may not know, it may be difficult to measure the success because it won't happen, hopefully. The abuse won't go on, it won't be at the same level, but I think that, you know, if we tap into our resources, Mr. Manager, if you can, I don't know if you want to get some type of committee. We have a homeless, you know, homeless committee, but I think whatever makes sense, I would ask you to, you know, talk to the folks. I know Ray Adams over at the YMCA had offered to sit and meet with whomever to explain the program. He offered to come down, but you know, I told them that maybe at a later date, when after people get together and have an idea what it is, can explain it more. But there's such an opportunity here, I think, at a low cost to have a tremendous positive impact and give our residents a sense of more security and things that we can do as residents. You know, training in here is, you know, the city municipal workers, police and fire. I think I saw it as a tremendous opportunity for very low cost that could be a win-win. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, just briefly, I did have an opportunity to do a little bit of research on this program after seeing the motion, and I do think it is a very good program and certainly a worthwhile cause, a worthwhile effort. It is consistent with our efforts in a number of other areas, be it domestic violence, substance abuse, homeless prevention. It deals with a real social problem that is unfortunately too pervasive, and so I plan to meet, based upon the vote of the council, plan to meet with my department heads over the next, we actually have a meeting tomorrow, but we'll be meeting again in January, where we hope to perhaps have Ray come in to make a presentation, and then we can do some brainstorming as how we can roll this out more effectively.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilor Dakota?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to commend Councilor Broderick for bringing this forward. I actually did sit through the training and would encourage not just municipal employees or people who work with children, but residents to take the training. It just opens your eyes to some of the prevalence and helps you learn how to deal with it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Thank you. That concludes the agenda for this evening. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Martin. All those in favor? We stand adjourned. Thank you.